Have mommy issues going on in your life? Today, let's explore what that's all about. So the term could be mommy issues, or somebody grows up to marry their mommy. When there's strained, challenging, difficult relationships with our mother, there's a reason for that. We have to unthread it to understand why and what's been going on, so it doesn't necessarily impact our life currently and of course going into the years ahead. Maybe you're wanting some maternal guidance all the time. You're craving that maternal guidance, but you can't get it. How are you handling that? How is that impacting your life to not get that guidance when you want it? And of course, that can filter into a strong need for affection and approval. You need your mommy's approval. Well, maybe you had a mother who gave you too much approval, meaning you could see through it. It was kind of fake. It was phony. She was just saying anything. She didn't really mean her compliments. Therefore, you crave the real deal. You crave some healthy boundaries there. Or you could never please her, it seemed. You could never get her approval. You know, we pop out of them. They gave birth to us. To think we're just going to get to the root of mommy problems right away, it's a little more complicated than that because of this bond, this attachment issue that we have with our mother. And there's 4 types of attachment, and I'll cover that a little bit later in the video. One attachment I can think of right now is particularly if you're breastfed from your mother growing up. Those memories are still in us when we're a little infant, cradling up on our mother's breast, being fed. It's very intimate and warm. It's almost in our DNA. So that's why mommy issues go so deep. And if we respect it as such, that will help us. It can help us have a more loving, close relationship with the mother if that's what we want, more real, more authentic. Or on the flip side, it can help us if we have a toxic mother and we need to have no contact. By understanding fully why this is so all-encompassing, having mommy issues, then it can help us in whatever direction we're going to go in the future in regards to our mother. If your mother then somehow manipulated you, abused you, treated you poorly, was passive-aggressive with you, emotionally smothered you, perhaps physically beat you, whatever it was that you had to go through, this may be a life's journey in working with it, because not only does it affect your relationship with your mother, that's a life journey in and of itself, but also, of course, it'll spread out into relationships with others. For both women and men as they get older, with the kind of friends they choose, who they're going to be romantically interested in perhaps, who they're going to spend the rest of their life with, all this depends on the mommy issues. And by the way, in a later video, I'll do daddy issues. And of course, there's abandonment issues. If the one who gave birth to you, you were formed in their body and popped out of them, if that person can abandon you, leave you, toss you aside like you're trash and just go on to a brand new family, or move to another country and rarely contact you, think about the impact that would have on this child. Being abandoned. My own mother doesn't love me. Not only does she not love me, but she's finding any way possible to get away from me. She moved to the other side of the world. So these issues, these feelings are strong and obviously are going to impact our adult life. Of course, with self-esteem and self-worth issues, because if my own mother can leave me, then nobody else is going to really find very much worth in me or good in me. I'm kind of a goner, range from a mother trying to be your best friend, or on the opposite spectrum, being very withdrawn, not talking hardly at all. Maybe she was controlling with you. So now maybe as an adult, constantly, well into your 30s, 40s, 50s, you're still hoping to get your mommy's approval, because it goes back to this fundamental need that goes way back to childhood to be loved and accepted for who we really are. We need that from our mother. If you were denied that, you're probably going to be seeking it in all kinds of ways as the years go on. And if this is the case, you may be looking for a lot of emotional support in your adult romantic relationships, or even with your friendships, because you want that mentoring and guidance, or you're seeking approval. So now it's playing out with your significant other. You didn't tell me you love me this morning. I need you to be here for me. Well, what does that really mean? We have to be more clear than that. But of course, the feeling inside, where it probably stems from, is somebody wanting their mommy. They can become very needy then if they're not aware of what's going on. Also described as clinginess. You may have an undeveloped awareness of how to set up healthy boundaries, because perhaps there wasn't a healthy boundary between you and your mother. And then, of course, who we date, probably they're going to have similar characteristics to that of your parent. In this case, we're talking about your mother. So let's just say, for example, a son is raised by an alcoholic mother. He deeply loves her. He loved her all through his childhood. He wanted to be closer to her, but she was too busy drinking and never dealt with her alcoholism. He remembers her several nights a week, wasted, just trash, sitting at the kitchen table, unable to do even household chores. But he still loved her, and he's always hoping she's going to change. So now he gets older, maybe he gets married. Odds are, without some therapeutic work, he's going to date a woman, fall in love, and marry a woman who has many similar characteristics. So number one, chances are she may be struggling with addiction or alcoholism. If she's not a chronic alcoholic, maybe she likes to binge drink, or there's something going on in terms of her cutting off her emotions the way the mother did, being irresponsible the way the mother was. Now we can imagine that little boy having to fix his drunk mother dinner, do the chores for her because she couldn't do it, maybe even make excuses for her on the phone. I'm sorry, my mother won't be there tonight. So he took over, he had to fix situations. So now more than likely he may want to be with a woman that he has to try to fix as an adult, because that's what's familiar, that's what he's used to, and he's been traumatized in this way. That can even affect the way our brain circuitry works. We're so used to something. Could be a form of CPTSD, complex post-traumatic stress disorder. And part of it is because we're repeating what's familiar, but also unconsciously we're hoping to recreate perhaps the situation that we went through in childhood, and maybe now this time I can conquer it. If I can get my current girlfriend or my wife to stop drinking, to be more responsible, then somehow in the back of our mind we're believing it's going to heal us of all that childhood trauma, all that emotional pain we went through. But again, we're not knowing we're doing this, but we're going to keep hoping that it's going to happen in our present marriage, because then somehow it's just going to make everything feel sort of settled and done with about childhood. But it doesn't work that way. We have to work out these feelings and process and feel them and talk about them, usually in therapy, as a way to really begin to heal. Similar issues for a daughter with her mother as well, in terms of her observing a woman's role. She's learning what it's like to be a woman by what she sees in her mother. In this case, maybe her mother didn't have many friends, so she poured out her heart and soul to her daughter almost every day. Every adult problem, all the thoughts in her head, unfiltered, just came out. The daughter just grew up having to be the listener, take it all in. This is my role, and it seems to be okay, so she thinks when she's young, because it keeps me connected to my mother, and she wants me to listen anyhow, so I guess I will. So now what she's learning about relationships from her mother is that I just have to be there and listen, deny who I really am, be a people pleaser, and of course she's going to take this into her future relationships in her life. So mommy issues are big, and they can affect the rest of our life. Of course, you could have been neglected, or it's important to point out that daughters of very unkind mothers who don't have a lot of patience, treat them sort of rudely, who maybe were overly criticized by their mother for the way they look or something, of course are going to have layers of shame and very low self-esteem, of course. And of course, this will all come into play for sons or daughters in terms of how they become parents when they're older. Men who are now parents may struggle to take responsibility, help out with household chores, rise up to the occasion more, so to speak, if they had a mother who overly babied them, infantilized them. So that's just one impact it could have. For daughters, because their traditional role is more inside a household, sort of raising a family, being the caregiver, then how she's going to be the caregiver, so to speak, in her family, with her children, will have a lot to do with what was role modeled for her. So I want to do an entire video on these 4 types of attachment issues I'm going to bring up right now. Now, of course, we could start with secure attachment, which is just a nice, healthy bond between the mother and child. Disorganized attachment, if there was some chaos happening between the mother and perhaps there were caregivers, there's a lot of changes, a lot of unreliability happening. That's going to cause some anxiety. We can call that disorganized attachment. There's a higher degree of what is called anxious attachment when you just weren't provided your basic needs. Maybe your mom was distracted by her job or the marriage or her boyfriend, whatever was happening, and you didn't get what you needed as an infant to feel a secure attachment. Now you grow up and you have a lot of generalized anxiety. And number 4 is avoidant attachment, where your mother perhaps ignored you. She didn't treat you as something very important at all. You felt that you were left on your own, and maybe you were quite often literally left on your own. So I want to do a whole video on all 4 of those because those are very important. A lot of information here. This is just a very 101 version of why mommy issues are so important to understand in our life. Please leave me some comments below. I'd love to hear any thoughts, comments you have about mommy issues you may have in your life. Please subscribe to my mental health YouTube channel if you like these kind of videos. And until next week, this is Brad Shore signing off from Ask a Shrink.